fermenting sweeteners that you find in your fridge. So my wife came to me and she said, we have these sweeteners that we've had for a long time. They've just been sitting in the fridge or in the cabinet, and I want to throw them out. I don't want to throw them out. I want to find a use for them, and since I make beer and wine and mead and stuff like that, I want to give combining these two products a try. Combining grandma's molasses and organic coconut nectar to try and make something that is drinkable, that it would be pleasant to consume. So let's give it a shot. So I'm going to be starting at a bit of a disadvantage here with this brew that I'm going to attempt, as I don't have full containers of each. I think I have maybe like half a pound of molasses and half a pound of coconut nectar, and I don't want to add anything else to it because I kind of want it to be dry. I don't want it to be too sweet, and I have no idea how much actual sugars I'm going to be able to, fermentable sugars that I'm going to be able to extract from this stuff. Also, I don't know how much that we have, so I'm going to be going by weight. Let me just down here so that you can see I have my scale. So we're going to be pouring both of these into this small little 64-ounce glass jug to see exactly how much weight by volume we are going to use. Okay, so we have our setup here. Everything is zeroed out, and the only thing that we have to do is weigh each one of our liquid sweeteners. It's very viscous, the molasses. We're pouring it in here and we're getting our reading. Now it's not going to all come out, unfortunately, but we can kind of get an idea of how much weight we have in here, and then we can just use warm water, shake it up, and get the rest of that good stuff out of there. Now it's almost completely poured through, so let's get an idea of our weight. So I was a little under, actually I was about half under what I thought it was by the pound. It's about 0.236, which is about a fourth of a pound for our molasses. There's a little bit left in the container, but we're not going to get that much more out, so I'm just going to call that a fourth of a pound. And here comes our coconut nectar. First off, we have to zero out the scale, zero that out so that we can get a proper reading. Pouring our coconut nectar in here, just like that, and just like the molasses, it's got the same viscosity. It might be a little more pourable than the molasses, but that's about the same. Here we're actually coming closer to what I thought, so that's closer to half a pound. So we have about 6.5 pounds of sweetener here, and that's all coming to the bottom of our fermentation jug. Swirl that around and zero that out. Now, like I said, I don't know exactly how much gravity points we're going to get out of just 6. Actually, did I say 6 pounds? We don't have 6 pounds. We have a little over half a pound of sweetener here. So we're going to heat up some water just so that it's hot enough to get in through here, and we're probably going to add 3/4 of this 64-ounce jug full of water, and we'll shake it all up and we'll come back. So while we're waiting for the water to heat up, I want to show you it's come to settle at the bottom just like honey. You're not going to get everything out of there without pouring in hot water or warm water to dissolve the rest of what's in there. So that probably is about, I don't even want to say it's 0.10 pounds in there right now, but there's even more at the bottom of the coconut nectar. So just so you can see, we will get a little bit more gravity points out of that, but not much. The water is still heating up, so let's talk about flavor profile. Both of these sweeteners are very dense in flavor. The coconut nectar, you do get coconut on that, but it's really, really similar to molasses, but it's not as deep in flavor. Both of these are very deep, and they're very dark in color. It's going to give us kind of like a really dark brown. I want to say somewhere around like 35 SRM if we're talking about beer, which we're not adding any grains to this. We might steep, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. We're really early on in this process, but the molasses is going to give us a really, really dense, what is the word that I'm looking for? Like those molasses cookies that you eat. Very, very dense flavor. And the coconut nectar is also low glycemic, but it's nutrient dense, so it should help our yeast, which, by the way, the yeast that we will be using today, if I can get it all the way in the back of my fridge, is this stout yeast that I used. So this is a remaining lease from, I'm calling it a stout, not really a stout, it was more of a molasses mead wine that I made not too long ago, and the flavor was immense. So good. I actually might add bananas to this now that I'm thinking about it. Mash up some bananas, stick them into the fermentation bucket, and see how that turns out. But we're not there yet. We got to get our water in. So we heated up our water to about 100 degrees. Everything should be combining in these. Now we just have to shake these up and pour them in. There we go. All shaken up. Time to combine. Inside. Look at that. Perfect. We have to get our yeast going, so I'm not going to pour all of this coconut nectar in because I do want a little bit of the sugar to be left behind so that we can combine it with our stout yeast, which we will be doing right about now. So this is a lot of yeast for what we're going to be doing. We're not going to be using all of it. I really hope it works. I've only reused yeast a couple of times, and if not, we have some Fleischmann's bread yeast that we can use for this. I'm not going to use my champagne or my dry white wine yeast because I have no idea what it will do to my sweeteners, because I've not really used these kind of sweeteners a lot before. So let's go ahead and pour a little bit of my yeast into the mixture, maybe a little bit more. There we go. And we're just gonna let that sit for a bit. Put my yeast back inside the fridge, and we'll come back when everything's ready to combine. I keep having these ideas come into my head about what I want to do for this brew that we're going to be coming up with. Got my yeast right here, still kind of working. Got to get it to bubble up a little bit more, but I just got this amazing tea in the other day, and amazing coffee in the other day. Sorry about the lighting, guys, that really sucks. But this Harvey and Sons Paris tea, it's got like black currant flavor and vanilla, and it's almost like an elevated Earl Grey tea, and I want those tannins to be present in the brew. And also I have some friends, Monster Coffee Brewers. They do a breakfast blend of, it's called Zombie Breakfast Blend of coffee. And it's the tastiest breakfast coffee I've ever had in my life. And I'm not even joking. So I got 16 ounces of hot water sitting here in my teapot. I'm going to use 1 tea bag of the Paris, and I'm going to add these coffee beans in at the very end so that they can sit on top of the brew, and those oils can sort of incorporate into the brew over time. Alright, so it's just about time to start adding everything in. We have 16 ounces of that Paris tea from Harvey & Sons, the black currant, vanilla elder grey tea. We have our yeast, and we have the rest. I think it's about, oh my gosh, I think it's about, how much more are we adding? 32 more ounces of just filtered water into our 64 ounce container. And then at the very end we have our thermometer, because we don't want to kill our yeast. It has to be below 110 at least. And then we have our coffee, which we will float on top after everything is done. Okay, first off, let's add our tea into our mixture. There we go. Perfect. This is looking really good, guys. I have a really good feeling about this brew right here. All 16 ounces get added into there. Very good. Set that to the side. Next, we need to add about 32 ounces of filtered water, dechlorinated. We want soft water for this, not hard water. And this is a little below room temperature, so that we can get everything added in there. So as you can see, I'm not necessarily measuring everything out. I'm just kind of going by eye, but I know that we need at least about 32 ounces, which I think should be up to the line right about there. Stop right there. We'll shake this up to combine. Put that away. Shake this up a little bit. Make sure everything is combined. It's like I got a nice coffee color right there. Now the molasses and the coconut nectar are probably still at the very bottom, but once we add our yeast, we will put the cap on and we will shake it up very nicely. Next, this has already been sanitized, just so everyone knows. We're going to stick our thermometer in here to get a reading on the temperature, because we don't want to kill our yeast. And the glare on that, I don't know if any of you can see this, it's kind of going up just below 100 degrees. Let me wipe that off. Everybody can see. Oh, where's the camera? Just below 100 degrees. It just went down to 50. So now is actually a really good time to add our yeast. Okay, here we are. We have our yeast starter. It's been going for about 10 minutes. Smells nice, smells like a starter. We didn't have to add anything else. I didn't have to add any Fleischmann's, which is really nice. It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like everything is working in there. So hopefully this works. Alright, here's the incorporation. We're going to add that whole thing. And that gives us a little bit over 48 ounces of brew. Very next thing is I'm going to add in my coffee beans. And we're going to cap this off and give it a good shake. Okay, make sure that cap's on there really good and shake. Alright, pop that cap just to make sure that we can off gas here so we don't have an explosion in my hands, because that would not be nice. I'm going to turn this over on its side and make sure that all of the molasses and the coconut nectar has taken to the concoction. Yes, it has. Shake it a little bit more. There's a YouTube channel that I watch called I think it's called City Steading Brewers, and they say if you think that you're done shaking, shake a little longer. So we're going to make sure there's a lot of oxygen in here. There we go. And we're going to put the cap back on here and just ease it off just a bit because I'm out of airlocks and I don't want to buy another one right now, and that'll work in a pinch. If we want to, we can put a little bit of saran wrap over the side, so I'm not sure that this is going to boil over at any point. But I will come back in about 12 to 24 hours to give you an update on how everything is doing. So thank you very much, and I will see you when this thing starts fermenting. So I lied. Well, I forgot. I was putting everything away, washing everything, and I realized I didn't take a gravity reading on my little brew here. And what kind of brewer would I be if I didn't take an original gravity reading? Because how do I know how much alcohol is going to be in my finished product if I don't do an original gravity reading? So, have my hydrometer right here. Well, my vessel and my hydrometer. We're going to pour just a little bit, about 3/4 of the liquid into the hydrometer so that we can get just enough so that I can take good reading. Try not to get any solids in this. We have a little bit of bubbling, but that's not a big deal. I'll have to clean that up later. Just spilled a little bit, unfortunately. Pull my hydrometer out. Everything was sterilized before I put it back, and I wiped everything down. Everything's fine. I pulled it out. Alright, so before I take the hydrometer reading, I'm thinking that maybe I'm going to get 1040 to 1050 on the gravity reading here. So let's see, let it go. Raise it back up again, make sure all the bubbles are gone. Let it go. Wait for it to stop. And dang, I was right. I got 1040 out of this. That is going to give me, I think, about 5%, 5.5% alcohol by volume by the time everything here is done. So I'm going to get a lightly alcoholic, very dry product, which I probably will have to back sweeten if I want to drink it at all. But that is not bad. So by the pound, by the gallon, I think these two products give me about 25 to 30 points of sugar per pound. No. Yeah, maybe like 20, 25. That's not bad, actually. So since this was sanitized, I can go ahead and just pour everything back into there, get all the solids out, and I want to save just a little bit so that I can take a taste test right here. Okay, all that gets clean, so let's take a little sniff test. The molasses, obviously a lot of brown sugar notes. It's not very sweet on the nose, probably because it's 1040 original gravity. But you do get a little bit of that coconut nectar, which is super sweet. It's almost like maple syrup. It's delicious. Wow. That's going to be interesting. I get banana on the palate, a little bit of brown sugar. I get cane sugar, a lot of that. This is going to be really nice if it goes all the way down and dry, and then I can sort of back sweeten that possibly with a little bit of see if I can get monk fruit. Maybe back sweeten it with monk fruit so that fermentation doesn't kick off. But thank you so much for joining me. We got a gravity reading, everything's up in here. I'll give you an update to see how long it takes for the fermentation to kick off, but I think this is going to be a success on something that I wanted to just throw away. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a little release here, see if we can hear some off-gassing. Come on. Oh, a little bit. A little bit of off-gassing, and yeah, see, it's all releasing right there, and you get a lot of that bubbling action. And that's just all the CO2 is just kind of, it's been all pent up, and ooh, I can smell it from all the way over here. It smells absolutely amazing. The only reason why I have the saran wrap on here is because I don't have an extra airlock. I probably should order one. So I'm just doing a little bit of the saran wrap and a very lightly turned twist top cap to keep everything kind of sealed. It's not perfect, but it keeps bugs and stuff from entering on the inside.